With the news update on WHTC Holland's Cool FM, I'm Gary Stevens. Another step in the process of having a dedicated municipal recreation center in the city of Holland took place last night. On a unanimous vote, the City Council authorized the issuing of up to $22 million in limited tax general obligation bonds to pay for construction of a multi-use 83,000 square foot complex adjacent to Smallenberg Park off of Fairbanks Avenue near Ray and Sue Smith Stadium. The structure would feature 4 full-sized basketball courts, which could be converted for other purposes, along with multi-use spaces to accommodate non-sports-related recreation programming. Fifth Ward Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Scott Corbin's sentiments reflected that of his colleagues on the governing panel.
This is about asking residents not for a new tax to build this facility. This is about prioritizing existing resources toward investing in our children, our families, and our community. Eventually, planning needs to become action, and I believe we have reached that point. Now our responsibility is to come together, council, staff, and community partners, businesses, and residents, and make this project as successful and financially responsible as possible.
City officials say that work on clearing the site could begin after Labor Day, with building construction tentatively slated for November once a final bid is accepted in early October. The passing of the operational leadership torch should be done tonight in Holland Charter Township. After Steve Baltide was honored for 8 years as the municipality's manager during an open house last evening, he'll be a part of his final township board meeting. He had initially announced his intentions in February to retire after more than 3 decades of public service, but agreed to stay on as the board conducted a search for his successor. Josh Eggleston comes over from Zeeland Township to begin his new duties on Monday. Among the items before trustees in the 7 p.m. meeting include approving a contract with GDK Construction for building improvements to both the Riley Street Fire Station and the Public Safety Building off of James Street, along with purchasing just over 11 acres of vacant land at a cul-de-sac at the end of Greenway Drive, a cost of $660,000, and allowing the state police to conduct a speed study on 104th Avenue between Adams and Perry Streets. The Holland Charter Township meeting is in the township offices off of 120th Avenue. As classes are set to begin next Thursday, the freshest jewel in the crown of Holland Public Schools is in place. A ribbon-cutting ceremony this past Sunday was held at Holland Heights Elementary School, climaxing a 2-year, $21.2 million project in overhauling a structure which was initially built in 1952. Superintendent Nick Cassidy happy with the reaction to renovated classrooms, a media center, and learning spaces specifically built for a nature-based curriculum.
I was pleasantly surprised at the number of coming in, not just kids, but just community members who are here. And over again, I heard people say, this is a great use of our dollars. So it was good to get that reassurance. But that building is definitely something that we can be proud of and that community and neighborhood can be proud of.
In addition, final inspections are being done this week on ongoing renovations at West Elementary School, which is part of the district's 5-year facility consolidation plan. The search is on for whoever robbed a convenience store in South Haven on Tuesday evening. Police say that 2 slender black men wearing medical-style masks and gloves held up the Shell station off of Broadway Avenue around 9:40 p.m. One of the men, wearing a gray hoodie, brandished a handgun, while the other, adorning a black hoodie, took money out of the cash register, as well as nabbing some tobacco products before fleeing, apparently in a white SUV. The clerk on duty was not harmed. Anyone who may have been in the area around the time of the crime is asked to contact the South Haven Police Department. The Van Buren County Sheriff's Office arrested a 29-year-old man on several charges, including meth possession, after he led deputies on a chase in Paw Paw on Tuesday afternoon. Deputies tried to pull him over around 1:30 p.m. on Kalamazoo Street near South LaGrave, but he fled to the east, speeding through several stop signs before crashing at the intersection of 56th Avenue and County Road 653. He didn't have a valid driver's license or insurance. 2 passengers in the vehicle at the time were released. Agents with the Michigan Gaming Control Board executed a search warrant at DJ's Pub in Muskegon, investigating suspected illegal gambling.
They seized 3 suspected illegal slot-style machines, $1,200 in gift cards that were used to pay winnings, and nearly $3,900 in suspected proceeds from gambling. No one was arrested, and the investigation remains wide open. I'm Michael Arney.
Kennewa Hills Public School Superintendent Dr. Cherry Horner is being pressured to resign. She's been on the job in the Grand Rapids Area District for less than 2 months. Over 300 parents, though, have signed a petition for her to calling for her to step down. The petition has a list of concerns regarding accountability, conflicts of responsibility, and student safety. The school board met in closed session for over 3 hours last night. Next scheduled meeting on August 24th, and it's expected then What was discussed last night might be disclosed. The 16-year-old boy who drowned in Gun Lake last week has been identified as Caden Smith. He was a student at Portage Northern High School, drowned last Wednesday. Body was recovered on Friday. Smith was about to enter his junior year and played clarinet in the symphonic and jazz bands at Portage Northern. His family has launched a GoFundMe account to pay for his funeral and start a memorial scholarship. Over $18,000 have been raised thus far. Meanwhile, a prayer service was held yesterday in East Brunswick, New Jersey, for a local 15-year-old boy who had died on Monday after swimming in Lake Michigan near Michigan City. The Indiana Department of Natural Resources confirmed the identity of the victim as Taha Badar. He went underwater while swimming, never came back up. A firefighter dove in and found him about 15 minutes later, got the youth to a hospital, but doctors could not revive him there. Comstock Township officials appointed Amber Lawrence as a new clerk, replacing Nicole Beauchamp, who had resigned on Friday, along with trustees Terry McIver and Christy Cherry. Trustee Bob Pratt resigned on Monday, and it caused the Kalamazoo County Election Commission to appoint Bill Korb as an interim trustee. But Korb lasted only 15 minutes before the appointment of Lawrence, who will take Korb's place on the Board of Trustees. The township now has a quorum of 4 members. The resignations came after a report alleging a hostile workplace in the township amid the sacking of former township superintendent Scott Hess in June. The Democratic and Republican Party tickets in the race for governor are now set. Democratic nominee Jocelyn Benson selected State Senator Winnie Brinks of Grand Rapids as her lieutenant governor running mate, while Republican nominee for Governor John James last week selected State Representative Jay DeBoyer of Clay Township as his running mate. Applications for the state's free preschool program have hit a record. Nearly 53,000 have applications on file, officials saying it's putting the state on track to hit the governor's goal of having pre-K available to 75% of 4-year-olds by next fall. The Pre-K for All initiative had 4,700 applications filed between June and July. Officials say last month's figure was a 15.7% increase. The initiative includes federally funded Head Start and the state-funded Great Start Readiness programs. State Representative Betsy Coffia, a Traverse City Democrat, has sent a letter urging Grand Traverse County Republican prosecutor Noel Mogenberg to let the state attorney general's office help with the Interlochen Center for the Arts investigation. A report into sexual abuse at that camp included around 70 first-hand accounts of alleged abuse by 47 adults, including staff members, donors, trustees, visitors, and others connected to the camp. Jeffrey Epstein among the names that were accused. Mogenberg had been the target of a recall effort earlier this year over claims of not fully prosecuting 2 high-profile cases involving drunken driving and domestic sexual abuse, but petition drives failed to garner enough signatures to put the matter before voters on the November 3rd ballot. Brandon Lowe's solo homer in the bottom of the 9th inning enabled Don Kelly's Pittsburgh Pirates to top the visiting Tigers yesterday 4-3.
Man, unbelievable. And I think just the fight that these guys have shown all year, coming back, down 3-1, being able to chip away and for the bullpen to keep it right there within striking distance the whole time, and to come up with 2 huge homers late from Flo, and then 2 in the 9th inning from Flo and Brandon. That was awesome.
Idle this evening, Detroit meets the Royals in Kansas City tomorrow night with broadcast time at 7:45 p.m. on WHTC Howland's Cool FM. 3 White Sox pitchers combined to toss a 2-hit, 10-strikeout shutout as Will Venable's Pale Hose blanked the Cubs at Wrigley Field yesterday 3-0.
Really tough road trip with Detroit, and then the Cubs. You go 4-2 in that road trip. Really every one of those games we were in, we played well. Of course, we weren't perfect, but just so proud of the guys to just continue to play good baseball.
This afternoon, the White Sox are home to the Atlanta Braves at Wright Field in Chicago, while the Cubs face the Mariners in Seattle tomorrow evening. Ben Jacobs and 3 West Michigan relievers teaming on a 3-hit, 10-strikeout shutout as the Whitecaps whitewashed the Cubs in South Bend last night 9-0. The series at Kovaleski Stadium continues this evening. Get the latest news anytime at WHTC.com.